Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the MR.METAL at YouTube with another tutorial product review. Today we're going to be talking about priming metal and utilising Mr. Metal Primer. We've probably all seen in the Goon Sungo Mr. Colour paint racks in our hobby shops or online. So a lot of times we'll come across various metals, soft cold cast, turned aluminium, brass, photo etch, lead or pewter miniatures. This also includes metal figures, wargaming figures, Warhammer stuff, hobby paints. It doesn't matter what it says by the manufacturer, from Citadel or Vallejo or whatnot. Hobby paints do not adhere to metal very well. It wears off, it flakes off very easily, and rattle can enamels, even though marketed as primers for metal and wargaming miniatures, do a very poor job of priming. And Mr. Metal Primer has been on the market for a very long time. So normally when you stick your photo etch or these gun barrels, which I've got quite a few of these ship barrels that belong to World War II era battleships, destroyers, whatnot, of various scales. I'm going to coat it in this. Now, metal primer is normally known as etching primer when you're dealing with the automotive world and non-hobby professional applications, and you'd apply either a clear or mixed primer surface on bare metal after it's been cleaned and sanded of rust, grease and whatnot. The same goes here. When you got metal, you just make sure it's clean, wipe it down, and all you have to do is brush the metal primer on. It's very clear. It's water or less than water consistency, and it pretty much self-levels, yet it's very, very slow drying. The trick is just to brush it on, leave it for a day or so to dry, and then you can airbrush your traditional primers. So all this really is a primer for your primer. You apply it, it gives the metal a bit of a textured surface. You put your primer, that means all paints can stick equally to your plastic and your metal, which has got this treatment from the Mr. Metal Primer. Now this is a metal barrel I painted a long time ago. I've treated it with that primer, worked quite well, though I was very impatient and I airbrushed primer directly after I put on the Mr. Metal Primer. It didn't dry sufficiently, and I got this very strange blister. So it's just evidence when you're dealing with Mr. Metal Primer, allow 18 hours to a whole day, allow it to dry, chemically harden before you apply your lacquer primer or lacquer paint primers. This miniature is also another good example. None of the details flooded out. It was just finally painted and then airbrushed. Nothing's flooded. Nothing looks out of place. So you don't have to worry about build-up of paint from brush application. We've got the jar open. Nice wide paintbrush. All you have to do is just dip and get even coverage, and you can see that it applies clear. Doesn't really have much of a sheen like gloss or anything. Doesn't really look any different to the other piece besides looking pretty wet. Just cover all the areas as you can, and then just don't touch it until it completely dries. You can get spray application versions. It can be airbrushed, but just due to how good it is at self-leveling, you're best off just not putting it through your airbrush, cleaning it, flushing it out, all that. Just brush it on. There's no advantage to airbrushing it. There's no advantage to the rattle can. Hand painting it is just pretty much the way to go. And that's all there is to it. Nothing else to mention or talk about. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, catch you guys later. Supplementary information I forgot. If it gets applied to plastic or surfaces, doesn't melt, craze, or do anything crazy. It's just grip on a surface that's already porous, and even if you got photo etch glued to a kit and it's a tiny etch bit and using a fine brush and it overlaps onto the plastic or other multimedia, that's not a big issue whatsoever. So nothing to fear if you just got that tiny bit of photo etch. You could still apply this stuff, and it's much advised, as if you handle it at that point, the paint could wear off and expose some brass, which won't look good on military or ship kits or whatnot. A few more notes. Due to how thin this product is, it just goes for absolute ages. I've used it on many projects, models, wargaming armies, scratch build supplies and whatnot. And I'm barely halfway through. I probably had this bottle for 7-8 years now, so the label has definitely changed. Don't go for the colour and the text by gospel. It's got a very potent smell. It's probably pretty toxic, so use in a well ventilated area, avoid indoor, all that jazz. Though you shouldn't be using it much. You just crack it open, use shadow tight. When done, the brush can be simply cleaned and rinsed in lacquer thinner, or general purpose or multi-purpose thinner, which will leave it soft and primer free for your next application. I'm not sure if water or other thinners will do the same.